Today on Barry Charles Footy Show, yes, Selwyn Cobbo is off to the Dolphins in 2026 and George Williams could be next. What's happening in the merry-go-round? Are we going to see any late changes? Are we going to see some other mid-season signings, or is it all over? Bar the shouting, not much movement this season outside of Galvin. What are the Warriors toast? Are the Warriors on a downhill slide? Can they turn it around against the Broncos? It's a must-win game for them if they want a chance at a home semi in top two because of the Bulldogs losing. It's a big opportunity for all those teams below the Bulldogs to go leapfrog them in the next couple of weeks as they continue to muck around with their team, and it could cost the Bulldogs their title reign. And also, what's doing between Manly and Tigers? The loser out the door. See you later. And Penrith, are they the new favourites to win the comp? Yes, it's all right here, right now, on your favourite channel, Barry Charles Footy Show. Welcome back, guys and girls. Yes, Rugby League at its best, and we're starting to get to the end of the origin period and ready to rock and roll into finals footy. And yes, one player that is moving to the Dolphins is Cobbo. Yes, as said, he was going to move to a Queensland team. There was no way he was going south of the border, where people were saying the Roosters and all this. It was crazy stuff. He's ended up at the Dolphins, but it's going to be interesting. Where do you play him? Do you play him fullback? Are you going to take it away from Hammer? I don't think so. You're going to play him in centre, or are you going to get rid of Averillo if you're going to pick them? Or are you going to pick out the Sarko? Or, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Or the Howworth, they're going to take the winger off. Bostock, sorry. What are they going to do there? Interesting times there. Be interesting to know how much it was. I don't think it's big figures. I think it might be 500,000, 600,000. Not that much dough to get him over the line. But yeah, very much going to be interesting development there with George Williams going as well. Potentially. Why though? I just don't understand it. The only thing that I can see is a little bit of experience help the players around them, but to think he's going to bring more than what Cody Nikorima or Sean O'Sullivan's at the club currently. He's in the Jackson Hastings ability. Some people would argue a bit better than that, but really, that's his ability. He's not up with the Cleary. He's not even up with Reynolds, even at this stage of Adam Reynolds' career. He's not even up to that level. So it's an interesting one. I understand some experience for Qatar. It makes sense, but when you wanted a Fogarty or someone like that, that would have made way more sense. But obviously, Christian Wolf has connections with the English Super League. That is why you're seeing tend to go for some of those players, because he has that relationship there with some of those players that he used to coach. So that's where that is all coming from. Whether it comes to fruition, we'll find out. But he's certainly not up with the top 10 halfbacks in the NRL competition if he came over. So it's a dud signing, in my opinion, if it comes out to be true. But we will see. Anything can happen in this wonderful, wonderful game of rugby league. But coming back to the Broncos, what were the Broncos doing? Great signing for the Dolphins, but the Broncos, yeah, it could prove to be a masterstroke. Selwyn Cobbo might disappear in the next couple of years if he doesn't get back to loving rugby league or getting back to his best. He's going to be just like the Josh Schusters of the game. Tony Williams of the game, or Tony Williams a little bit better. He obviously got to Australia in that, but they peaked real early in their careers and then just plateaued, like the Jared Mullen. I mean, I could list so many players that have gone to the highs and then and just lost all their potential stars, the junior stars, and then they just disappear out of the thing. So let's just hope Cobbo gets back on track and finds some form for the Broncos, and then on to Dolphins next season. Yes, I'm not hearing much. I really am. There's not going to be a lot of late mid-season signings. There's potential for some, but really there's not really too much to make sense. A Mackay Pearce-Paul swap for Talon Silva made sense, but I've heard that's not going to happen. But if that was to happen, that's potential. That's a real potential, and that makes sense. But from what I've heard, that's not happening. But can Talon just go straight away now? That's going to be an interesting move there. Also, I've heard Rabbitohs and Parramatta have also wanted the Silva. That hasn't really been public knowledge. But also Bulldogs. Mahoney is going to be gone. As far as I know, Mahoney's going to be gone. It makes sense to have him there, but the question mark is he might be still playing second fiddle to somebody. So it's going to be interesting to watch there on the Silva front. For Fita, he's not going anywhere because he's injured this season. We're still injured, so he won't be going anywhere mid-season, but potentially 2026. Look for a move there. Jack DeBellin. Again, is there anyone in the Parramatta want to let go right now that DeBellin to swap? Maybe Ryan Madison potentially. Cartwright, but yeah, I don't really see much happening in the market. Sexton and Marnie, none of them, they're not going. Why would you swap? As I've said all along, why would you swap and go to a team that's not in the top 8? Because pretty much these players will be going to teams that are not in the top 8. You're on a team on top of the table, you're still in the starting team, you play for the rest of the season. So those two players are not going anywhere. And but as you know, anything random can happen. Some of the top clubs might look at somewhere where they're struggling and may get a late season push if someone wants to go. But I just don't see much of it this year, because I think they've all signed players long term because of the dangers of Perth, Bears and PNG coming up. That's why you're not seeing much movement, because a lot of players are short up for a long time. But yeah, Jack DeBellin, I think it was a bit heartless not to give him another contract at the Dragons. He deserved to be a one club player, but it's business these days. He's obviously not as good as he used to be, but he still turns up every single week, and you would think a player like that would be good to have around the club for another season. But there's all ducks and drakes here. Like, they said they didn't have an offer for him, but maybe the management had how much they wanted. And maybe they said, no, we're not going to go there. So they just decided not to even offer him something, because it might have been half that. Maybe they were going to offer him 200,000. He wanted 400,000. He wanted 2 years. He didn't get 2 years. They only gave him 1 year. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of thought around that sort of space. Who's talked to Dragons obviously said they were going to, and then they decided to pull out. But maybe again it was about figures and mess around that. So there's always two sides to a different story, and there's the real thing's right in the middle. The Penny Panthers, yes, the Penny Panthers, folks. Are they back? Are they the Premiership threat? Are they the team to beat in 2025 and make it 5 in a row? The answer is no for now. I was just about to say hell no, but you can't say hell no after they beat the Bulldogs. But Bulldogs are not my Premiership favourites. Right now, if you had to go boom to my head, this is who it would be. It would be, for me, Raiders and Storm would be the grand final right here, right now. Why I say that? Because Raiders just absolutely offload ability is a class above anyone else in the competition. That's why they're so high on the table. And they're just absolutely ruthless. And if Fogarty stays fit, look out. They should be going close to winning this Premiership. If he gets injured, then that's a different story. Storm, although not playing the greatest, they have the best spine in the comp, and definitely will be close to the Premiership. Then the next level down, you got the Bulldogs or Warriors, who defensively have got the job done, but attack is the question mark for both these teams in the big games. Can their spine get them the Premiership? That is the big question for both those teams. Defensively, no doubt about it, both these teams can win the comp. But attack-wise is the question mark. If they can't get a few more points, they might be struggling. Broncos have the attack, but don't have the defence, so I don't see them winning. Penrith definitely can be there. I think there's only 5. I really think there's only 5 in this competition. The Raiders and Storm at the moment look the top 2. Then you got Bulldogs, Warriors, and Penrith. They're next on the list. Then you got Broncos, Roosters, Sharks if they fall. But I think they're gone, to be honest. They're not going to win the comp. Those ones down low. Dolphins, they're not going to win. And as simple as that. They're only going to try and make the top 8. But serious contenders, Raiders have been the Warriors twice this season, so I'd say the Raiders are going to go further. On that, it doesn't mean he can't win the third one, but yeah. But what I was going to say about the Warriors, they lose to the Broncos, they lose another game after that, they start to slide. They often struggle in this after Origin period quite often. They need to flip that around. They need to upset the Broncos. If they are true contenders, they will beat the Broncos and will shut me up again. I'm absolutely a Warriors fans, don't get me wrong, but the way they played against Penrith, I know Penrith had played better than expected. They should still have won. They still should have won. You could say that pass that got the intercept from Jenkins was how they lost the game. They lost the game well before that in the first half. They need to come up and turn up and show Warriors fans they are the real deal. We will see. They'll make the top 8, but the question mark is, are they going to stay in their top 4? They had a chance if they beat Penrith and they beat Broncos this week. They will be second on the ladder, folks. We're close to second on the second equal on wins and losses if they had done that. Bulldogs could be on a slide. This is a chance for them to jump into second. I think Bulldogs are going to end up 3rd and 4th. With the draws coming home, Raiders should be top. And then it's up to the Warriors if they want to get there. Or the Storm will take their second spot. And Penrith are the team from the back of the field trying to rush home. Or any team. Can Broncos win and they go on a run and win a few games? Those are the 2 teams I think they could bounce into the 4th spot if someone slides. I don't know if it will happen, but they definitely are the 2 teams. After that, I just don't see it. I think Dolphins have had their better run. The Roosters are going to be sort of hit and miss, and I think that'll be enough to get them through. But I just don't see any team outside Penrith winning. Who are on the top 4 now? I really don't think any of the other clubs have got it in them this season and have proven themselves to be able to. Maybe the Broncos are next in line. Sharks, just not defensively. And the Sharks, if they don't get the home final, they'll be gone. And that's where I think they'll end up. If they're in 7th and 8th, they're not going to make it. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting this season. Tigers, Manly. Definitely for Tigers. If the Tigers lose, they are gone. Their season's over. And again, they could get wooden spoon again. Looked like they were going to be a chance for top 8. But instead now they're looking to hold off a wooden spoon again. I've got big fears that Benji Marshall's going to be sacked. Well, not fears. If they get wooden spoon, he'll be gone. He needs to get some wins on the board to finish the season. Doesn't have to be top 8, but he needs to get a few wins on the board. If they come last, Benji will be cut. But anyway, that's the Barry Charles Footy Show for this episode. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll be back with another video very, very soon.